What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Tusk and Tradition. Before we get started, a little new setup. I'm kind of holding the mic instead of having it sit in front of me. This kind of fills my need to be, like an entertainer on stage, holding the mic like this. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance. If you've watched any of my videos, I talk a lot with my hands, as I'm doing right now. I'm gonna try to, hold strong with the mic right here, but if it starts going this way or something like that, it will eventually come back. So apologies in advance. Before we get going, talking about some of the games that have happened over the past week and a half, wanted to show you this. My awesome, amazing girlfriend actually made that. It's pretty cool. It's the patches that we wore on the uniform for some of those early Nick Saban championships. The Rose Bowl, then you got the Sugar Bowl, and then you got the BCS Orange Bowl. Beat Texas, beat LSU in the rematch, and then killed Notre Dame in that game. And then also I got. She gave me another one that looks just like this with the college football playoff ones. If you remember, it's just kind of the year. So it would be, 2016, 2018, and 2021. So it's so hard to think about that because, the years, like the year off. Like, Rose Bowl right here. It's going to say 2010 because the game was played in 2010, but that season was the 09-10 season. So, like, every game besides that one was played in 2009. But yeah, that always trips me up, dyslexia or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I tell her she should make them. I think those are awesome. But yeah, shout out to her. She's amazing. We love her. She's awesome. Get into Missouri game about a week and a half ago. Just like Catherine, amazing, awesome, loved it. We really took it to them, played really well, shot the ball really well. They shot the ball pretty poorly. Off the top of my head, I think they shot the ball 4 for 21 from deep. That's not going to get it done in a high-level SEC play game. Everything else is kind of similar. I think we both made 26 field goals. I think we were 26 of 62, and they were 26 of 66. So we had the better percentage. But, if you look at that, look at some of the other categories, the stats really were not super crazy either way besides the three-point percentage. And we played really well, shot the ball well from the arc. And so that's why that score was so lopsided, 90 in the 60s, low 60s for them. So, played well. Before I got into that game, I meant to bring up the Charles Bediako situation. He hasn't been anything insane for us. And if you've watched, the video, when this first talked about it, I've been so, I guess, confused on which stance to have on it. 'Cause I don't love the idea of a bunch of these pro guys coming back. Everyone's got a little bit of take on it. I think that seems to be the most common take. Just today, Auburn's Coach Pearl, was talking about how he feels bad for Bediako. Let's say today. Today is actually the day we'll find out at 4 p.m. Right now it is 2. So in 2 hours, we'll have the answer about if he's going to be able to stay or not and play tomorrow versus Auburn. Big game tomorrow versus Auburn. So we will see if we will let the NBA or the ex-NBA, ex-pro player play. And the argument to be made is that why do we only punish people who come back from the G League, the NBA kind of system of teams, when a lot of these guys have played over pro ball overseas. And then the counter argument to that is a lot of those guys didn't come from college to go play pro ball overseas and come back to college, which I totally see. I don't want to say really much about it. Whatever. We'll find out today if he's going to be on our team or not. Hopefully that's not a distraction. Going into this game tomorrow is a really important game. So, played well with Missouri. Kind of broke down those stats already. And then, after that, I knew it was a tough ask at Florida, defending national champions. In those games, I always kind of think, let's be within 10 with 10 minutes to go, and let's see what can happen. We were not within 10 with 10 minutes to go. Lost that one pretty bad. You look at the stats, stats don't always tell the story, but it's easy to recap it with stats. They shot double the free throws we did. I've talked about that before, and I'm not the kind of guy that says, we didn't get any home calls, whatever. I'm just stating the fact sheet. They shot double the amount of free throws we did. They had 72 points in the paint. That hurts. Their coach pretty much said they don't care if Bediako plays, we're going to beat them. And he was exactly right. He backed up every bit of what he said. And they did it in the paint where Bediako was. So they did that. I think we shot close to like 53s in that game. I might get that confused with the A&M game. No, I think it was that game. We shot 48 threes, and we didn't hit them. That's a tough one. I mean, I think it was 100-77. That was just that's a good tail kicking. And that it's hard to compete with a team that just doesn't seem to miss, especially when the points are in the paint. You really can't even when you even get down a little bit, you can't just trade baskets with them. You gotta go on your own run, and we never seem to do that. So took that one on the chin. Really proud of the way we responded. At A&M, this is probably my fault. I really wasn't quite familiar with their record, especially in SEC play. I had no idea they were 7-1, and they played like it. Played a really good game. Back and forth game. Both teams, had the stat sheet was pretty good, pretty balanced. What I mean by that, we were able to, find some more steals here and there. Extra offensive rebounds, and that's kind of the difference. Late in that game, we got down 2 possessions, and that was kind of where I thought this game could go the opposite direction of where we need it to go, and we'll lay down. You're coming off a really tough loss at Florida. What kind of mental fortitude and strength did this team have? Really proud of the way they were able to find that. The Harlem Globetrotter shot that Aiden Holloway put in and got the and one. Less than 30 seconds in that game to in all intentional purposes seal it, but not really because we gave them a chance there at the end to hit a 3 to tie the game. Glad I missed, but it is a little frustrating. The SEC is, I've said it, the whole year since we started playing the SEC play. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be a battle. Each game's going to be tough. But we can't give teams extra opportunities to steal the game from us. Kind of felt like once we took the game back, from jaws of defeat versus A&M, we let them hang around. We missed free throws. We let that. They missed their last free throw on purpose to try to get the ball back out to shoot a game-tying 3, and they executed it well. High archer, and it bounced off. They got a good favorable bounce, kicked it out. I believe it was Rylan Griffith, who, if you're a big Tide basketball fan, was on our team in the Final Four run. So he had a good look, and came up short on the front ironed it. So that's great for us, but it is just a tiny bit right there, a little frustrating not being able to fully finish the game we like to. Glad we got a win, and I recognize that. But it goes back to last year. Some of y'all probably don't remember this, but the at Tennessee game, we're up by 4, less than a minute to go, and just a complete collapse in that last minute allowed them to hit that game winner on us. And so I know it's last year, new team, new everything, but it is your team is your DNA, your coach is your DNA, and so a lot of those things, while it might be fresh starts and new teams, they kind of linger. And so, but overall, really proud of the way we were able to find a way to win that game. We're 5-4 in the SEC play. It doesn't sound amazing, but you're right there in the mix. I'm pretty sure A&M still leads the SEC at 7-2, so right there, it's a 2-game difference. Plenty of games left to be played, plenty of times for us to climb in the rankings and the SEC standings and get a little bit more favorable spot come tournament time for the SEC. Now going into tomorrow at Auburn, 3 p.m. game, it's going to be rocking. That small arena, they can pack it out really easily. 2 unranked teams going at it. Who would have thought? It's the first time, I believe, in 2 years that Alabama basketball is not ranked. There's good and bad to that. The good is, growing up, I would have loved just to see one game, Alabama ranked. And I remember a few times we got in the polls or started in the polls and fell out, or got in the polls, lost a game. But I was just happy to see that. I was just happy we had a chance to be on the bracket. And so from now, we have two straight seasons of being constantly ranked, wire to wire. We've come a long way than little Australian watching a lot of these basketball games. So happy about that. Not happy that we have fallen out of the rankings. It's a double-edged sword. But yeah, who would have thought this game at Auburn tomorrow would be 2 unranked teams going at it? But that's part of the SEC. It's a grind. We got to go take this one from them tomorrow. It's going to be a really tough ask. We'll see what kind of energy and poise we show up with. It kind of reminds me of the team last year. When they were at number 1 Auburn, and we went and had the Mark Sears buzzer beater, and how much fun that was in overtime, and the environment. It felt like that team last year fed off the crowd and the environment. Hopefully they'll be able to do that again tomorrow, and it'll lead to a good Tide victory. So that's gonna, I'm gonna wrap it up right there. I'll, get to the Auburn game. In the next video, hopefully we're talking about an Alabama basketball win. Shout out also, before I forget, shout out to the girls basketball team. This is the team to have 20 wins in the short amount of time. So the fastest team ever to 20 wins is this year's squad for the Alabama basketball team. So hats off to them, cheers to them. They have a great season. They had a big win, a top 20 win, not even top 15 win versus Ole Miss. I think it was 64-63. Got a really tight game. So great job by the ladies. Roll Tide, and hopefully they'll keep stacking the wins, and hopefully the men's basketball team will keep stacking the wins, and hopefully the Charles Bay Oxygen works itself out to the way that it should, and we'll go from there. But thanks for tuning in to this, and I'll catch you next video. Roll Tide.